Good afternoon, everybody, especially my group in beating insulin resistance. I just am here today. We're going to talk about high blood pressure and a number of the ways that insulin resistance actually causes your high blood pressure. And I want to talk about it because I know so many people who've had cardiovascular diseases or are struggling with high blood pressure. And if you're anything like me, you've been put on medication after medication in an effort to start trying to manage your high blood pressure, but nothing seems to work. So, again, if you're anything like I've been, then your blood pressure starting to climb. Mine started to climb in my late 20s. By my 30s, it was out of control, and I'd gone to the emergency room for my high blood pressure, and nobody could seem to figure out what was going on, how to control it. I cycled through medications, different doctors. In the end, we had me on lisinopril and hydrochlorothiazide, and we were trying a number of different things because my blood pressure every single day would get up to like 180 over 150. The best we could get it to was about 150 over 110. And there were several nights a week where I would wake up with my heart just pounding out of my chest. And at those points, it could be 240, 260 over about 160 or higher. And there's only so many times you can drag yourself out of bed in the middle of the night and run to the emergency room for that before you're like, they're not doing anything. What am I going to do? And if you notice this going on with you, if you felt like this happening with you, if you're anything like me, you may have had these thoughts of like, I don't know how I'm as healthy as I am today because that long-term high blood pressure, my heart should have given out by now. I'm very aware of that. I'm very lucky. And so I'm talking about this today because I want everybody to understand that when I talk about insulin resistance and when I say that it's linked to almost every disease and disorder that we have today, this is one of them, and it's huge. And just by addressing your insulin, you can start to see rapid change in your blood pressure. So if you know anybody who's suffering with it, who is like I was, and they're not getting help, listen in, send them my way. Let's get them educated on this one simple thing that can get you off of statin drugs and all of this stuff and help you start to normalize your blood pressure. And that one thing is addressing your insulin resistance. So I'm going to go over what insulin resistance is a little bit. And then I want to talk about a few of the things that insulin resistance is doing to your body that's causing that high blood pressure. It's said that over 95% of high blood pressure is caused by insulin resistance. And Dr. Joseph Kraft, who I believe was a Nobel Prize winner, said that those people who were had high blood pressure and not diagnosed with insulin resistance simply weren't diagnosed yet, meaning that he believed that every person with high blood pressure had insulin resistance. It's such a big, I'm a connect the dots person, but there are so many huge dots that this insulin resistance is causing directly your high blood pressure. And we don't need for people to be compromised, losing their health, losing their lives over something that's so simple to fix. And we're going to dive into all of that today. So, you guys, I really thrive on when you interact and ask questions. I'm not just here to like spew out information. If I don't know something, I'm going to tell you I don't know it, and then I'm going to go look it up. If I've read through it, if I've studied it, if I know it, then I'm going to bring it here. I am not a doctor or a physician or a nutritionist. I'm just a woman who, I guess I worked in the medical field, but I got really sick. And when my doctors and whatnot could not help me, I found a way on my own. And so here we are. All right, so I'm going to dive in here, you guys. Insulin resistance. Look, the big thing with insulin resistance, I got stuff in my way down here, is that at least 88% of us, and they're now saying up to 93% of us, have a metabolic disorder, and that all links to insulin. So when they say you have metabolic dysfunction, we're really looking at the function of insulin in your body. So that means only 1 in 8 Americans are achieving optimal health. Now, I get a number of people say, oh, this is an American issue. Well, there's about 3 countries in the world that are worse on the scale than Americans. It's not just an American issue anymore. It's affecting China. It's affecting India. It's affecting the UK. You guys, it's worldwide. And we're seeing skinny, obese people. We're seeing this whole thing happening across the world. In fact, one of the nations that reaches out to me the highest, unfortunately, we have some challenges getting help over there, but is South Africa. So if it's just that, and I'm not saying that American food is all that, because I know it's not. But I just want you to open your eyes to the fact that this is not just an American issue or a US issue. I work with so many people, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, UK, UAE, who are all having the same problems. So let's go back into this. So again, 95% of cardiovascular or hypertension is linked to insulin resistance. And when we look at that, most cardiovascular diseases, I'm going to get the number wrong because I have two numbers floating in my head right now, but I'm going to say at minimum 80% of cardiovascular diseases, and I believe the number's higher, are linked to long-term insulin resistance. So now we're not just talking about high blood pressure, we're talking about cardiomyopathies and atherosclerosis and all of this stuff. All of that there's huge links back to this long-term hypertension that's linked back to long-term high levels of insulin in your bloodstream called insulinemia that causes insulin resistance. So I realized my slide here got a little jacked up. So insulin resistance is basically when the food that we're eating today is so different from the food that we're supposed to have that it's turning into glucose, sugar, energy, however you want to see that, in our systems way too rapidly. And what happens then is the pancreas puts out the hormone insulin, and it's being overloaded, bombarded, because you're eating every 2 hours. You're eating food that's turning into blood glucose too much. And now that this little pancreas right here is working so hard all the time that it's getting taxed and it's putting out so much insulin, eventually your cells start to get resistant to that insulin that's in the bloodstream. So there's a couple of factors. We're going to go over this. I see it. I've talked about it with a number of other things with skin issues and whatnot, but today's heart, right? So there's some places where your cardiovascular system takes up too much insulin and it's causing a problem. And then there's other places where other components of your cardiovascular system are not taking up the insulin now because they're resistant to it, and that's causing a problem. Either way, if we start to get the insulin levels normalized, then it releases the problems, and doctors have said that when you address the insulin, your blood pressure can drop rapidly. I've said no, that I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist. I'm a woman who got sick. Doctors weren't able to help me. I figured it out on my own. I read a lot of other doctors and study with them and scientists about metabolic health and all of this. And then I just try to bring the information to everyone else so you don't have to go look for it. And if you want to go look for this stuff, I have books on my recommendations page where you can find some of the stuff that I read and study. But every day, you guys, I don't do Netflix. I don't do all of that stuff. I don't do HBO, or you know what I listen to? I listen to doctors talking about science and our health almost every day. In my car, it's audiobooks, listening, ingesting knowledge. That's the kind of person I am. So I'm just bringing the knowledge to you guys, and you can hear it or not hear it. You can do what you want with it, but I'm connecting dots. So hopefully you don't suffer like I did. All right, back to the insulin resistance. So one of the things I want to talk about, pause for a second, because I haven't really addressed this a lot. People will say, I get messages all the time that say, my doctor says I'm not insulin resistant. My blood sugar levels, my A1C, my lipids, all are fine. Type 1 and insulin resistance is a little bit different, but it still happens the same. The factor of insulin resistance in your body when you're type 1 is the same. It ends up, the end result is the same. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit. But yes, type 1 diabetics can actually become insulin resistant as well. And I'll explain why here in just a little bit, if you can hang out with me. So once you have too much insulin in your bloodstream, because you're prompting your body to create insulin off all the time, right? Then your cell starts to become resistant to it. Now they won't take it up. Now this amazing hormone, who's just trying to get us to grow, insulin loves us to grow. And when it has all of this energy that we've put in our body and it has no place to dump it, it starts dumping it in your fat cells. Well, your fat cells start to get so big that they feel like they're going to explode like a water balloon, right? So a water balloon has two separate things. I mean, it can either explode or it can start pouring water back out the top of the balloon. So when our fat cells, I see you on Facebook, I'll answer that in just a second. When our fat cells get so over full, then they start to spill that sugar or energy back into the bloodstream. But you could have been insulin resistant for a long time before that happens. Now you start to see your A1C go up. Now you start to see your blood sugars go up. Now your doctor's like, oh my gosh, you have diabetes. And now you're like, oh heck, how did this happen to me? What happened? That happened to me. And we now know that I was probably insulin resistant for 30 to 40 years before anybody ever found the diagnosis of diabetes, which is what started me on this whole journey. Hold on a second. So on Facebook, you have awful sugar cravings and low energy. So this whole system, the protocol that I'm going to go over in a minute, and how we address insulin resistance can help that sugar cravings and low energy. Those are symptoms. Those are some of the common symptoms of insulin resistance. And it's really important to know that, because if you don't know what the symptoms are, you don't know what you're dealing with, right? Here's the other thing, guys, everybody. If we deal with insulin resistance, if we take care of that one thing, and we clear, I like to call it taking the elephant out of the room, right? And you have, I don't know, 80% of your symptoms clear up, but you still have 20% over here. I'm not saying this is the magic bullet, but I'm saying let's get that elephant out of the room so we can see what's actually going on with our health. So if you take the insulin resistance out, a number of things in your body start to clear up, and then you can see, is there anything real that you need to deal with? And now you've given your doctors a fighting chance to figure out what's happening to you. So insulin resistance looks like this, you guys. With some of the things are, if you have PCOS or erectile dysfunction, Dr. Ben Bikman actually likes to call those things metabolic infertility. So it all links back to the insulin resistance, right? Excuse me, high blood pressure, childhood obesity, type 2 diabetes, type 3 diabetes or Alzheimer's, sarcopenia, fatty liver, heart disease, stroke, heart disease, what we're talking about today. All of this links to insulin resistance. But then there's the things like on this slide, and you guys over on TikTok might not see that as well, but there's things like the Alzheimer's I mentioned, peripheral neuropathy, Parkinson's, autism, that are all linked to insulin resistance. And this is according to physicians, not just Misha saying some stuff. Okay, so tinnitus, vertigo, and Meniere's disease. And I have a couple of great stories on Meniere's disease where people struggled and doctors couldn't figure it out. I said, try the system. They tried it. Within a month, their Meniere's disease was relieved, and they started not having symptoms of it, the vertigo and whatnot from it anymore. So there's some pretty big links there. Periodontitis. My teeth used to bleed all the time. Didn't matter how much I cleaned them, how many times I went to the dentist. It doesn't happen now that I'm insulin sensitive and more metabolically healthy. So then there's diabetes. Yes, type 1 diabetes can be insulin resistant as well. And the protocol that I'm going to talk about, I want to pause for a second and say, unlike most diabetes medications, there's a big warning that says if you're type 1 diabetic, you cannot do this medication. This protocol is safe for even type 1 diabetics, and it's not causing more problems for you. So the chronic inflammation, and then cancers. You guys, breast, ovarian, colon, bladder, pancreas, liver, and prostate cancers are all linked to insulin resistance. So there's a dysfunction in the body creating all of these cells, and then the propensity for that to turn into cancer becomes much more. So inflammation, skeletal disorders like osteoporosis, you have muscle wasting going on, you have all these heart issues going on. All of that links to insulin resistance, and this is why I'm here, because that's a lot of stuff. But if you guys like, look, how do you tell if it's you? So Facebook user, let's look at this. So hypertension, which is my favorite thing to talk about. If you have high blood pressure, just figure that you're insulin resistant and start addressing it. If you have skin tags, those little mushroom-like projections of skin sticking out from your neck, that's insulin resistance. It's a hyperproduction of skin cells because too much insulin is getting to those cells. Same thing with acanthosis nigricans. It's darkened skin patches on the elbows, knees, under the arms, in the groin. That's a similar reaction. PCOS and erectile dysfunction. It actually, because insulin is a hormone and it affects your other hormone production, you're having problems with PCOS and erectile dysfunction. But some of the other things, so those are the top 5. If you have any of those 5, just Just understand that you are likely insulin resistant and start addressing it. And I know, you guys, I'm going to stop for a second because here's the thing. People, especially ladies who have PCOS, like to get really mad at me and be like, no, it's not. It's genetic. It's da 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 da. Well, when there's a link that most PCOS women have a higher instance of insulin resistance and people with insulin resistance have a higher instance of PCOS, there's a pretty big link. Like, oh, I am not wrong. So you, like you said, you are wrong. The ED is from high blood sugars. High blood sugars causes hyperinsulinemia. Too much insulin in the bloodstream over a long period of time becomes insulin resistance. Exactly. We're saying the same thing. It doesn't make me wrong because you don't understand the end result of it. It's exactly the same thing. Get that under control, and your ED gets under control, as well as the low thyroid function. So I would invite you to actually listen to what's being said because we're saying the same thing. All right, so the other thing is, these are some other things that can be linked to insulin resistance. You guys, like people ask me all the time, how do I know if it's me? So if you have that bulging belly, whether you're fat or thin, whether you're obese or not, and you have that bulging belly, that's an indicator of insulin resistance. It's visceral fat or brown fat being built up underneath the abdominal wall, and that needs to go because it's extremely dangerous. High triglycerides and a low HDL, that's signs of insulin resistance. If you're retaining water easily, you have edema and neuropathy, those are signs of insulin resistance. If you're constantly hungry, Facebook user, and especially after you eat, or sometimes like if you've ever had that feeling where you get chills after you eat, or you just feel like you got to lay down and take a nap because you're just so, your body's changed. That used to happen to me, and I would be like, what's happening? Why do I get so cold and like shaky after I eat? I mean, I just ate. And I would get answers like, oh, it's just your body using up all your energy to digest the food you just ate. Well, no, there's another factor. I'm not going to get into that today, but there's a reason that happens. And yes, it's linked to insulin resistance. So then chronic fatigue, headaches, body aches and pains, fibromyalgia type symptoms, that's all linked to insulin resistance. You've been type 1 for 59 years with the last 4 years with an 8. Okay, so if you have high blood sugars and you're taking insulin to address the sugars in your system, you're still likely having a problem with your insulin resistance. So I'm going to invite you, sir, to go check out this book called Why We Get Sick. Dr. Bickman addresses it directly in here. I'm more than happy to have that conversation. But yes, insulin resistance, which is led from high blood sugars, whether you're type 1 or type 2, is what's causing the ED. Yeah, 6.5 A1C is high, right? So 6.5 A1C means you're already having insulin resistance. Okay, so your A1C should only be 5.6. All right, so for most of us, what's happening, even type 1s, yes, even type 1s should have an A1C that's lower than that. All right, so this is what's happening. Most of us are being told to do things like calorie counting, keto, intermittent fasting, diet pills, meal replacements, all of this stuff. And there's all these voices coming at you, and you're like, what the heck? You've tried it, it doesn't work, or it works for a little time, you fall off because it's not sustainable, and then you're frustrated. That's what's happening to most of us. So what we need to understand is this is a food-borne illness. Medications cannot cure a food-borne illness. We need to address the root problem. And one of the things that's always being said is you just don't have any willpower. If you just had some willpower, if you just did better, if you just ate less of this, my head spins. We have never been told to rely on willpower as much as we are today. And it's all stemming back to the insulin resistance. Gee, we're saying the same things. You're just triggered by the fact that I'm not an endocrinologist and you don't want to hear it. Do not listen to your endocrinologist. I went to endocrinologists. I went to and they just couldn't help me. So you're willing to have, I mean, you're able to have your point, honey. I get it, but we are saying the same thing. Type 1 diabetics can be insulin resistant. It causes the same issues. And it's all stems from too much sugar in your bloodstream. And I'm going to get to how you can more naturally regulate that. In fact, I have type 1 diabetics who are doing the same protocol that I'm doing, who have reduced the load of their fast acting and long acting insulin and relieved themselves of all of the symptoms, including erectile dysfunction that we're talking about. So, there's proof in the results, right? So let's see, this is the kind of food that we usually get. So when we have this willpower issue that is causing us to go out and get food that, let's back up the truck. I'm dealing with an erectile dysfunction thing. Okay, so most of us, we get tired at the end of the day. We're being driven by our jobs and commutes and kids and families' needs, and we're just stressed and tired. How many of you guys are just stressed and tired? Because most of us are. And I can't tell you how many times we all say, oh, I'm just going to stop this one time because I just can't deal with any more today. And then that one time becomes 2 times or 3 times. And then this is the food we're getting, fried in vegetable oils and seed oils that are really toxic to us, too many carbohydrates that are broken down and turning into blood sugars too quickly, and all of that. Now, I'm going to show you in just a minute how you can have this stuff once in a while and still not be damaging your A1C and your blood sugars. Because what's really happening is that we've had things stripped from our diets that we really need to have. So when we look at the fact, like I had a conversation the other day and somebody was like, yeah, you just shop the perimeter of the store. But what if even our raw organic foods are changed so drastically that they're not giving us the nutrients that we are supposed to have? So when we look at carrots up here on the top left, they're supposed to be a root. They're very fibrous in their natural form. They're kind of bitter. Yeah, they have some flavor, but they're not the carrots, the big, sweet, juicy, crunchy, digestible carrots that we have today. Same thing with watermelon. There used to be way more fibers and seeds in the watermelon. We've modified it to the point that I call it sugar water in a shell, because that's basically what it is. And corn used to be more like a grain, and now it's this big, plump, juicy, starchy, sweet thing that we eat, and it's all pumping up our blood sugars. And then when you look at what's happened to the grains, same thing, all those outer layers are stripped. So now we're just getting to this starchy endosperm in the middle that is spiking our blood sugar. So we have fructose and we have starches, and both of them spike your blood sugars. Fructose, I would say, for me and my thought, is a little more damaging because it has to be digested by your liver much more heavily, and that's why we're seeing such a high instance of non-alcoholic fatty liver anymore, because we've gone to fruit juices and high diets of fruit without all the fiber to mediate those sugars from the fructose. So, all right, so what I teach people to do with this is just 6 simple principles alongside the protocol that I use. It's fiber first, prioritize protein, fill with fat, control your carbs, watch the clock, and move your body. So what that means is you want to get fiber in before you eat every time you eat. And for me, what I do is with the protocol, I have a drink, a pre-meal drink that I mix up in water, and I drink it 10 minutes before I eat. I'm going to go over what that does and why. But every fiber in your diet has a different action. So just increasing your psyllium husk intake, which is some of those other fibers you find on the shelf, is not going to work because they're not mediating your sugars and your fats. So it takes a variety of fibers to do this job. Then you want to prioritize protein, guys. If we're not getting in enough protein, we're hungry all the time, we're craving sugar more, we're having all of that going. Plus, your hormones need protein, your muscles need protein. Protein very minimally spikes your blood sugar or your insulin, whereas carbohydrates spike it a lot, but it's the most satiating of the 3 macros, protein. So if you're not getting in enough protein, you're going to have problems losing weight as well. Get in enough protein. Now, I always say 80 to 120 grams. I've read from some fasting and diet experts who are talking about a bit more than that. So I'm even upping the protein in my own diet. But one of the biggest things that I see with the people I work with is they're not getting in enough protein. Then you want to fill with fats, but healthy fats. There is a difference. And wow, I've listened to so many podcasts, and I was listening to someone today talk about it again, about how damaging seed oils are and vegetable oils are, and how they can actually make your insulin levels spike. So we want to avoid those. The 5 oils, or the oils that I talk about most, are extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee, and animal fats. Those are actually, science is now coming out and showing how healthy those actually are for you. And by the way, I do have a free ebook. If you go to my link on Facebook, YouTube, there's a ticker down there that shows my Linktree address. You can go sign up for the free ebook, and all of that information is in there. But then now that you've prioritized protein and filled with fats, now you've gotten healthy building blocks in your body, energy blocks in your body, and now you can have some carbohydrates, because it's going to help keep your blood sugars down, because you're now full with the healthy things and not having the carbohydrates. So it drives me crazy when I see guys like bodybuilders and whatnot who are on live, and they're having cereal for breakfast. They're having stuff in their breakfast that's really not high in protein or fibers, and it's really just spiking their blood sugar. There's so many things. And guys, I used to be the same way. I listened to all that stuff, and I misunderstood everything, because we're taught exactly the opposite of what is really happening for us. So, all right, then you want to watch the clock. Now, intermittent fasting, some people will say yay, some people will say nay, but I'm going to tell you, if you're looking for metabolic flexibility and metabolic health, you've got to stop forcing your body to run on insulin, the hormone insulin, all the time. And you need to let the insulin come down so that its component hormone glucagon can come out to play. Only when that happens, and when glucagon comes out, now you start having fat burning. Now you start getting into a state where other cells and tissues that need to go away can go away. But you can't do it when insulin is out to play, because insulin, my favorite thing to say is, insulin is like a bully. It wants things to grow. That's its primary job, and it's a primary hormone. So if it's out there in your system coursing through your veins, and anything comes along that opposes it and says, I'm going to burn something up that you just put in, insulin's going to say, oh no, you're not, and I'm not going to let you on my playground. So we've got to get insulin off the playground so the other hormones can do their job. So that means becoming more metabolically flexible and stop eating every 2 hours and all of that, so that your hormones can switch and your body can actually do what it's supposed to. There's some people on here that I think are lovely, lovely people, and I know they just don't understand, but they're talking about eating every 2 hours, and they're still talking about calorie counting, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's such an disproved model, and it's not helping people's health. They may see some results in the short term, but in the long run, they're hurting their metabolism and they're causing more problems. So watch the clock. The last one is move your body. You guys, when you eat and your insulin is up, one of the best things you can do is give that insulin a place to go to deliver that energy. So it doesn't have to be some crazy workout. You don't have to go do crazy stuff, but just take a walk. After you eat, take a walk. Dance in your living room. I don't care. Just move your body so that the insulin can be delivering that energy someplace constructive and not bugging all the cells that really don't want it anymore anyway. So those are the 6 simple principles. You can sign up for the ebook, free to you guys, and then it's going to show you how. So all of this to be said, what I've been doing to help my insulin resistance now, and you guys, I didn't know this when I started. I'm going to be full honest. I started the system because I felt like my back was up against the wall, and if I didn't change something, I was going to die. And I've heard from so many other people. So skeptical, I tried the system. It's a simple protocol, a tea that I drink in the morning. It comes in these packets. So it's easy, it's sustainable, it's flexible. The packet mixes in water, and that's it. You're not steeping tea. Yeah, Sherry Coleman says she had a personal trainer who had her eating 5 times a day. So when you're doing that, can you guys see that and I'm going to go over a little infographic that's going to show you why I'm saying this. It's just continually spiking your insulin, and it's creating more in your system stressing your pancreas out more and more and more. And there are so many experts on fasting, including Dr. Jason Fung, who is a diabetes and obesity specialist, who absolutely advocate for fasting for the goal that it does for your body, and it's been changing my health. So, tea in the morning, pre-meal drink before you eat, do the time-based eating. I regularly do a 16-8 fast, but I do break it up every once in a while, guys. Every once in a while, I only have a 12-hour fast. Sometimes I do a 20-hour fast. On average, I'm doing a 16-8 fast, but I switch it up so my body's like, wait, what are we doing? Okay, we got to pay attention again, because your body gets lazy. It's like, oh, this is the same old thing we're doing. Got to shock it a little bit sometimes. All right. So the two simple tools in here are doing these things. Let me see if I can change this so you guys can see this picture better. There we go. All right. So what we're doing with the protocol is, when you have dinner, and this is just a suggested timeline, guys, I coach you through it no matter what your life looks like. You can do this. We can switch this around to fit your day. So if you're going to have balance in the morning, balance before dinner, and then that's when your fasting starts. No more snacking, no midnight runs to the refrigerator, okay? Your fasting window will start about 2 hours after you actually ate. Your blood sugar normalizes about 6 hours after you eat, depending on how many carbohydrates you had. Then it's about 8 hours before your insulin levels actually drop. Okay, so this is important because insulin is a primary hormone. Glucagon is not, but they're component hormones in your metabolism. Insulin likes things to grow, glucagon likes things to burn up. So remember, insulin won't let anything oppose it, meaning glucagon can't do its job till insulin is down. So we've got to stop eating to get that insulin level to drop. That's about 2 a.m. And it's about 4 a.m. or 10 hours after you last ate before your glucagon can normalize and start to come out and do its job. Now your digestive system resets, and in the morning, instead of waking up and having a high carbohydrate meal, pancakes, toast, all of that stuff, you're having a Unamate, this great, amazing tasting tea that tastes like lemon, and it just shuts down your hunger, gives you mental clarity and energy without giving you the jitters, and it starts helping you burn fat for fuel. So now I have people tell me all the time, what's in this stuff? Because I am not hungry and I was so food addicted. So it works great, guys. It's just simply a tea that you drink in the morning. Again, you're going to mix it up in a bottle like this, or I have a bottle like this, and then I just sip on it. And one of my friends, Jackie, says sip, sip, sip. Sips her way through the morning, and that's what I do. And it keeps me satiated and not hungry and not reaching for snacks and stuff all morning long. Then, once you've had your Unamate, you're going to wait another about 4 hours so that you're at that 16-hour window. Your fat burning begins and your HGH increases. Your body ramps up that fat burning. About noon, you're going to have your meal, your first meal, which is your break fast, right? That's how this goes. So if you look at that chart and understand what's happening when your personal trainer or these other gurus on TikTok are telling you, no, don't intermittent fast, that's hurting you, but eat every 2 hours. You guys, can you see hormonally you're causing disarray in your system, and you may have some success in the short term, but it's going to cause havoc in your body in the long term. So now what we're actually doing with this, and what the way this looks for us, is this. So you're having your tea in the morning and no food, but you're feeling full because you're drinking the tea. Before you have your lunch or your first meal, you're going to have that pre-meal drink, wait 10 minutes, and then eat. And then if you do get hungry in the afternoon, guess what? It's just real food products. It's not harming you, so you can have another tea in the afternoon, shut down your hunger, get you through those last meetings in the day, get you on home, and then you have this pre-meal drink 10 minutes before you eat your dinner. Now you're keeping your insulin levels from spiking so high because you're managing your blood sugars, so they're not ever spiking as high and staying high, and you're able to normalize your insulin even throughout the day. I used to not really have ketones come out much at all because my blood sugars were so high all the time, but now my ketones are up every morning. So the first part of the system is, did I skip a slide? Nope. The first part of the system I love because it goes through a 5-step process. Our tea is not just like a bagged tea. We hand pick it. It's not machine harvested. The farmers who raise this harvest it, so it's ethically, sustainably harvested. Then we take it to a process of fire roasting to release the components from it that get you what you need out of this plant and leaves the bulk behind. So we extract that, concentrate it, then we send it to a lab in Switzerland that takes it through a process called HyperPure that removes environmental toxins and all of that. So you're not getting pesticides and all of that, but it helps with removing the PAHs as well. So this tea helps you feel great all day. You can have it at any time. There's no crashes. It's non-addictive. It suppresses your hunger and cravings by using stored fat for fuel. It boosts your mood and mental and physical performance. Guys, when I was competing, I wish I would have had this. It has been proven to increase physical performance by 10 to 13%. When I look at my numbers across the board from when I used to power lift, if I was able to add 10% to my squat, my bench, and my deadlift, I still would have won the 4 championships I won, but I would have been much closer to numbers that I really wanted. It's a huge advantage. And now when I work out, my tea is my pre, post, and intra workout. I don't have anything else. I don't do Bang Energies or any of that because that's damaging your heart. This is actually helping your heart health and giving you that sustained energy without the jitters, without the crashes. So the Unimate has a number of things in it, and I'll make this really quick, you guys. If you're interested in it, go to my link and tap on that link and or my profile picture, or go to MishaFayant.com and you'll be able to find it. So the first component in here that I love, these attach to the caffeine molecule, by the way, and change how it interacts in your body, is why you're not getting those high heart rate and those jitters and crabbiness. But chlorogenic acids have this thing in them that promote neuroprotective gene expression. They have an antioxidant effect in the brain. They promote feelings of well-being. They support healthy blood pressure and glucose levels, and it promotes weight loss. That's just one of the components in the tea, and there's several that I don't talk about, but these are my 3 favorite. It has theobromines in it, which are best known as the mood-boosting molecule found in high-quality dark chocolate. And there's 3 times the amount of theobromine in this as in the highest quality dark chocolate. They help support healthy blood pressure, cholesterol levels, promote a feeling of calm, and they reduce mental fatigue and improve focus. By the way, those chlorogenic acids, there's 375 times more chlorogenic acids in this than in any standard bagged yerba mate tea. So you can't even touch it. So mate saponins, they're a class of molecules that are specific to the yerba mate plant, and they support healthy triglyceride levels and the body's ability to burn fat. But they also contain these things called triterpenoid saponins, which are similar to what you're looking for when they talk about the reishi teas. So they're suggested to have human health benefits, including lowering serum cholesterol and providing antioxidant and anti-cancer activity. So all of that from one specialized tea that's purified, so you're not getting toxins and pesticides, and you're just getting this power punch of all of that goodness, plus the nutrients and stuff that are in it. It actually is so amazing for your health. So then the second component of this system is our balance or our pre-meal drink. And this is why it's important, you guys. There are 4 different scientific blends in the balance, and we're going to go over each one of those. But what balance is doing, remember when I said that you could sometimes be tired after you eat? What's happening is your blood sugar is going up so high and it's spiking. Insulin is rising to take care of that. It's delivering that glucose to your body, but it causes this reactive hypoglycemia or glucose crash. Now you're chilled, now you're tired, now you're feeling hungry again because your body wants to get out of this danger zone. But when insulin is that high, it's blocking your fat breakdown, fat burning, and it stimulates fat storage. So why the balance? This is what's happening. The top line is what your day looks like when you're not having balance. In our regular food today, we eat, our blood sugar spike, our insulin levels go up really high, and then we eat again and we shoot our insulin up high again before it can ever come down, and then we eat again and it shoots up high again before our insulin levels can ever come down. By adding in the pre-meal drink, it's like hugging those carbohydrates, and it's telling them we're not going to go to the body so quickly, and it's preventing them from delivering so fast. So now your insulin levels don't spike because your blood sugars aren't spiking so high, and you get back to fat burning modes quicker, because the lower you can spike your insulin, the more quickly it can return to normal. When you spike your insulin high, it's going to take a long time for it to get back to normal. So what Balance is doing and why it's working is this. The first component in it is this Biosphere proprietary formula. It's a unique blend that includes 5 different sources of fiber. They help support cholesterol levels and slow the conversion of high glycemic carbohydrates. Then we have the 7X technology, which is another specialized blend of plant-derived polysaccharides or viscous fibers. So soluble and insoluble fibers, a specific blend of them all put together that you're not going to find anywhere else. And those viscous soluble fibers form a thick gel when they're mixed with water, and as they move through the digestive tract, they're kind of keeping everything full, and it's gentler on your system. People with Crohn's, IBS, diverticulitis are noticing great results with this because it's cleaning up their gut very gently and preventing those the harmful fats and sugars from being delivered to your system so quickly. So it's slowing down the emptying of your stomach, which helps you stay full longer. So now you're not full right after you, or not hungry right after you ate. Then we've added this Cardio Matrix, which is just a blend of plant extracts that help support the body's cholesterol absorption process. So it makes it heart healthy. And then to top it all off, our scientists have said, okay, well, we want to make this complete. So they went through and found the vitamins and minerals that are most important to metabolic health. It cracks me up when I hear people say, well, it's got this crappy blend of vitamins and minerals. Well, it's not meant to be a multivitamin. It's meant to address metabolic health. So the vitamins and minerals in here are very specific to supporting the processes of those fibers and what the tea is doing, and so that your metabolism is more regulated and that you're having that good metabolic health. We're not trying to address everything in the body. We're addressing metabolic health. And those vitamins and minerals complement those fibers and phytosterols or plant nutrients so that your body can do what it's meant to do. And that is the system. So you guys, if you're interested in getting it, because it's been changing lives around the world. My blood pressure, by the way, my blood pressure used to be, this was me, for those of you guys who haven't seen me before, this was me when I started on the left, about 270 pounds. My blood pressure was about 180 over 150 every single day. Best we could get it to is about 150 over 110. And I was on 10 different medications. And my health was failing. I was getting sicker by the day, and I didn't know how I was going to save my own life. I stumbled on this protocol that I just shared with you. I had no idea all of this was going to change. In 5 months, I lost over 50 pounds, but more importantly, I took my A1C from 7.4 to 5.3. I lost those 55 pounds. My hypertension is under control. It's now runs 120 over 70 without medications. I haven't been on any medications in 2 years. All I've done is this protocol. My A1C, my blood sugars, my lipids are all in normal range. My liver panel has gone back to normal. I'm not having all of the struggles with chronic pain, leg cramps, skin takes, skin discoloration, brain fog, all of those things I suffered with before. So I know that it works, but I have a number of other people too. Alexis was not diabetic when she started, but she had family members. She's lost family members to diabetes, is terrified of it, was terrified of it becoming her. So she started the system to make sure that she didn't end up there, and share it with her family so that she could stop the deaths and disabilities from her family who are suffering from diabetes. She's gone from a size 14 now down to a size 6. She's improved her gut health and reduced her anxiety. She feels like she got her life back, and she's not living in fear of diabetes anymore. So this is my wonderful friend who does not want her name to be shared, but she's in menopause. She's now lost 43 pounds, has diverticulitis, kidney stones, depression, anxiety, and joint pain. All of that has gotten so much better for her on the system. And now she's having me call her family members and her friends because it's done so much for her. And she believes so much in how much it's changed her own health. But then I want to show you. You do not have to be obese to be insulin resistant or diabetic. My friend here, bodybuilder, this was post or prep season for her, or off season, and she was bloated. You can see it in her face, you can see it in her tummy. What she wasn't telling anyone is that she was diabetic and that she was having troubles. And then she started the system. She leaned out during off season. Her face is leaner. She stays cut more often because she doesn't have excess fat and she doesn't have the insulin spikes. And now her diabetes, her inflammation, her anxiety are all much better controlled. So that's just a few of them. I want to get back to, I don't believe the gentleman who was talking about type 1 is in here still, but I have a youth who is type 1, and this is just one example because there are numbers of people who are type 1 who are using this, but this guy is a youth. So when he started, he was 11 years old. He was both on fast-acting and long-acting insulin. He's reduced his fast-acting. He very, very, very rarely has to have it ever. And then his long acting is reduced by more than 50%. He's lost 35 pounds. His moods are better. He's doing better at school. He says it was easy. At 11 years old, he could do the protocol, and it's changed his life. And they feel like saved his life because he was running to the ER all the time with these severe type 1 diabetes issues. So yes, it works for type 1 diabetes. Yes, it's a type 1 diabetic disorder as well. Just because you're type 1 and can't produce enough insulin, if you still are eating the same foods as the rest of us and it's causing this high sugar, which is causing a high need for insulin that you're having to inject, your body still becomes resistant to it, whether it's exogenous or whether it's your own, you're still getting to the same place. So the system, because it's not a medication that's causing damage in other places, works for type 1 diabetics as well as type 2 diabetics. And I know a number of people who are type 1 diabetic who, I have a friend, Dal, over in England, who has changed her life. She's lost over 40 pounds, says all of the symptoms of brain fog and fatigue and aches and pains and stuff that she was experiencing have gotten much better. And she's been able to dial down her insulin pump so that she's using far less insulin and living a more normal life now. So you guys, this is why I'm on here doing this, because we're changing lives. I'm committed to helping people. And look, it's actually really easy because our food has been so distorted that it's making us sick. Some scientists that I've heard and doctors that I listen to talk about the fact that our food is so modified or manufactured that our bodies see it, if you will, as foreign to us. They no longer recognize the food that we're eating because it just doesn't react the same in our body as it's supposed to. What the system does, the protocol that I do, is just put back a number of things that's been stripped out so that our bodies can deal with our food more naturally. That's why we drink it 10 minutes. I drink it 10 minutes before I eat anything. I've been on the system for 2 years, and now I drink the pre-meal drink before I eat anything. If I end up having 3 meals in a day, I just have 3 of these. It's just real food. It's adding to my gut flora. It's adding to my health, and that's all I have to do. So I'm going to dive in here, you guys, because I have another meeting to get to in a second. But if you're interested in ordering, you're just going to go to my, and we can dive into the PDR if anybody wants to look at that when I talk about why this is working. So on TikTok, Facebook, you're going to go here to my TikTok profile by tapping on my picture, the red glasses, right? And right underneath those red light symbols, you're going to see my link. When you click on the link, it'll take you to my landing page, which is going to look a little bit like this. Lots of information in here, you guys, but you're just going to click on the top one if you're ready to order. When you click on that, it's going to take you to this page. You should see my name on the top and then go to buy now. Now, I've dealt with so many people. I get it. Like, you guys, I get it. I'm an introvert, really, and I don't like dealing with people very much unless I'm trying to help people. And so I get skittish about ordering from, I just want to go to Amazon or Walmart a lot of times too. And the thing is, there's no authorized distributors on Amazon, Walmart, eBay. So when you get those products, sometimes they're expired, they're leftover. We can't give you the guarantees for the quality guarantee. We can't give you any of that. You don't get access to me for coaching, and you end up spending more. So just make sure you're buying from a reputable distributor that you get access to. When you purchase from me, I send you out texts, I send you out videos to help you understand how to do it. You have access to me to ask me questions, and I get texts and calls from people all the time who have questions or yay, just want to share their amazing success with me because they're so excited. So make sure you're getting it from someplace reputable. Don't just run off to those crazy places. They're not supposed to even be on Amazon. We're continually fighting that, but it's a battle. So when you get it, you're going to get a 30-day supply. So 30 of the tea, 60 of the pre-meal drink. Right now, they have this amazing pink lemonade flavor out. But when you choose, the tea comes in lemon or lemon ginger. You can have the tea hot or cold. So you choose whichever one you want. If you love ginger, the lemon ginger tastes amazing. And then you're going to choose your pre-meal drink, so pink lemonade or orange. And the pink lemonade has no artificial colors or flavors. It's flavored with stevia, and it's put in these packets that are made to be able to fit in this little water bottle that you get at the store. So it makes it portable, easy, sustainable. That's it. When you choose, so like I would probably choose lemon and pink lemonade because it's a limited time offer here. And then I'm going to keep it on subscription because you're saving $5 off. It's about $159, $5 a day a month. If you buy it one time, you'll save $5 by putting it on subscription. You get free shipping, so that's about $15 off in reality. You can cancel this at any time, change it at any time, so it's no risk. Plus, when you do the subscription, you're getting this free hand mixer to be able to mix up your tea or your balance as a gift to you. And that's it. That's all you got to do. And then I see it come through. I start sending you texts and check-ins, and you can call me if you want to and share what's happening with you. And I love when people do that. So that is that. You guys, thanks for hanging out with me. If you do have questions on that landing page, there's my number. Just text me. I have people text me and ask me questions before they get started all the time. I want you to take care of your health. I want you to find the best way possible for you. I want to help you understand what's really happening because I spent years trying to figure this out and nobody was helping until I stumbled on this. And then that's why I'm here, because I went on this journey of like, what the hell just happened? Why did this work when nothing else did? And CJ, you're so absolutely, thank you for saying that. I am just honored that you guys all spent your time with me. But I do have to hop on a call, so I'm going to head out and I will see you guys later. Thanks for sharing your afternoon with me.